What is going on, true believers? An agent for Kamala Harris yesterday came out and said that Kamala Harris campaign will shift on digital assets. Didn't call it cryptocurrency, by the way. Didn't specifically identify Bitcoin or anything like that. So that leaves us with a very weird circumstance in which are they changing their tune? And does it even matter? Also, Gary Gensler was allegedly recommended for the Treasury or considered to be part of the Treasury Secretary hunt for this administration. So the question, of course, would be at that point, is that real or is that not real? Well, it turns out it was a lie, it was a grift, but it's coming from a right-wing MAGA centric uh, website called the Washington Reporter, which was created, I want to say, in May of 2024 by several political action committees called Verge and a few other ones on the right wing. And the information for Treasury Secretary from Gary Gensler, it turns out came from a Republican senator. So it wasn't true at all. Just another grift in the long line of grifts that happened with MAGA and the people who lie. And by the way, that's not MAGA that lies. Okay. I mean, they did lie in this instance, but both sides are the ones that are lying about it. Okay. So that's going to lead to a question. What next? What do we do? What does it look like? Who are the voters? And we're going to actually break this down so that you guys know. Also, is Bitcoin getting ready to dump big time? Well, I said no, but somebody else says maybe because there's red flags. And what's a believe show without red flags? Whoo! This is not financial advice, partner. I'm always right.
I can read a chart like a Superman, and I got a show that has a lot of fans. I'm streaming every day and almost every night. I bought some Bitcoin cause I see the light. You might wonder who I am, but don't forget that I'm the man. They call me Bleed. I'll do any chart you want me to. They call me Bleed. I'll break a crypto wallet down for you, for you. Built a crypto channel streaming live at night, and I'm the only YouTube streamer's always right. Every morning I go live and say to all you guys, don't fall for all these motherfuckers and their lies. You might wonder who I am, but don't forget that I'm the man. They call me Bleed. I'll do any chart you want me to. They call me Bleed. I'll break a crypto wallet down for you, for you. I don't know what to do, because my memberships are missing you. They call me Bleed. I'll do any chart you want me to. They call me Bleed. I'll break a crypto wallet down for you, for you. They call me Bleed. I'll do any chart you want me to. They call me Bleed. I'll break a crypto wallet down for
Guys, Terra Casino.io for all your risk-based gaming, PvP, poker, sports wagering, whatever it is that you're looking to do. Crypto trading, you can do it there too. You can play blackjack, any type of table game. Additionally, there's plenty of slot machines for you to choose from, and there is a robust group of people out here doing a lot of risk-based gaming. Guys, this is an opportunity for you to earn a little bit of crypto. Prove that you belong in the casinos at terracasino.io. All right, guys, I hope you're having a good morning, and I hope that whatever you pray to is treating you good today. Or something like that. I read that somewhere. Anyway, so let's break down what is going on because it's getting a little bit weird. Not just because MAGA people are weirdos, but because it's getting weird, right? Um, so the DNC is having their thing right down the street from me. I paid for the whole place, right? I'm like, I paid for all of it. So they better do a good job. So not really. But luckily, all the Muslims are being tracked and corralled by some guy named Tom Gasura or something like that. So just some Tony Garusa, I don't know, something like that. He's tracking all the Muslims, which is very weird and wildly, crazily just. I can't believe I was reading that, but I was. And so I feel safe now because for some reason, that's where the violence is coming from. I mean, not to shoot up schools, that's going to come from, but I don't know, some random guy. So let's break it down. Kamala Harris has signaled her interest in a friendlier stance on crypto. Notice I said friendlier stance on crypto, not full acceptance or anything like that. The cryptocurrency industry has made no secret of its displeasure with the Biden administration's approach towards regulating digital assets. Now, that is despite the fact that the Biden administration is the reason you have a Bitcoin ETF and an Ethereum ETF. They were both approved by the Biden administration, who are using the laws as they are written and not doing what they prefer. Now, I think what they would prefer, this is my opinion, this is not public knowledge, but it is my opinion that they would like to stifle cryptocurrency until banks can get into it and start to quote unquote take it over and control the way it's distributed. I believe that the banks want to or the American government wants the banks to have full control. However, Judge Annalisa Torres came to the rescue with the XRP ruling, which changed the paradigm in which the government would have to operate, and that becomes settled law. And when it becomes settled law like that, then you have to be in compliance. So, and I don't think that there's a real interest in stifling the innovation portion of it. I think that what they're looking at is they're looking at, people like me, degens. They're looking at the gambling that's going on. Speaking of gambling, Sun Pump, did anybody get in on the Tron, the Tron Sun Pump? I think they call it the Justin Sun thing that was going on. That's where all the trading was happening over the last couple of days. In fact, Solana yesterday became a ghost town and was down almost $1 billion in transactions over the course of one day because the degen army moved on to the Tron network. Isn't that crazy? The Tron network. So back to the point. I digress. Yesterday, one of the Brian Nelson, he's a senior advisor for policy for the Harris campaign, said that she's going to support policies that ensure that emerging technologies and that sort of industry can continue to grow. And that was during a roundtable with Bloomberg at the DNC in Chicago. So down the street, at the hotel. The growing political clout of the crypto industry is among the stories of the 2024 presidential race. So what you now have is you have three pro-crypto candidates in Robert F. Kennedy, Donald Trump, and now Kamala Harris. Now, it is my belief that I'm convinced that Donald Trump will do whatever we want. Okay. I think that Donald Trump is one of those, despite that, I don't respect the man. He listens to the people who vote for him and he believes in whatever it is that you want me to believe in. If I'm Donald Trump, whatever you want me to believe in, if you're going to vote for me, I'm in for that. And by the way, and if you say to yourself, well, that's just you're just waffling and stuff like that. No, you're doing what your base, your voter base, you're doing what they want. So there's nothing wrong with Donald Trump flipping pro crypto or being that kind of guy. That said, Robert F. Kennedy probably is the best bet for Bitcoin, but he's not a serious candidate. I mean, you guys can have, oh yeah, there's 10% of people gonna vote for Robert F. Kennedy. Right. That's not 51. So that's never going to happen. All he's going to do is dilute the libertarian vote. The libertarian vote right now is largely Republican. In the event that Robert F. Kennedy stays in the race, then he is going to cause Kamala Harris to win. So that's going to be a consolidation of power. Now, here's the other part too, that the other part is that a lot of his voters will probably peel off and end up voting for Kamala Harris because I don't think that people understand the lack of appeal that America has for Donald Trump. Look, you've got your Republicans, you've got your cult, you've got your people who will vote no matter what. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump does very little to unite people. Okay. And not look, if you're already in the Kool-Aid mix, it doesn't matter what he does. You're going to be like, yeah, whatever. I mean, 17 is old enough. You know what I mean? You're going to say weird shit, and that's fine. But you have to go out and you have to get people who would not vote for him to vote for him. And that's where his ability to adapt to circumstances comes from. 24 hours ago, guess what came out? Donald Trump did an interview with Theo Vaughn, a comedian, the Rat King, a very funny comedian. But he goes out and he does this with a comedian because Joe Rogan doesn't want him on the platform or anything like that. And Theo Vaughn is a supporter. He's not very quiet about it, but he is the support. So Theo Vaughn has him on, and I would encourage you to go watch it. It's about an hour long, 53 minutes, I think. But he's going out in places where he's not comfortable. I'm talking about Donald Trump. He's going to places he's not comfortable with, and he's telling everybody what they need to know for him so that they can make an informed decision. What he's doing is he's going out to win voters. Now, RFK, most pro-crypto candidate. Donald Trump, second most pro-crypto candidate. Kamala Harris, I'm going to say look, I'm saying pro crypto at this point, but let's be clear here. I'm not really sure what that means. So if you say, if you're liberal in some way and you think that, oh yeah, she's pro crypto right now and you want to vote for whatever, and I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter to me. This is presidential stuff. The only people that this matters to is Fox News and CNN and MSNBC and all the people who are in on the grift. And that grift is everywhere. And by the way, if you think that, oh, I'm getting my information from Newsmax or OANN, they're in on the grift too. It's just a different grift. But let's talk about statistics at this point. Obviously, they've expressed that one of the things that they need are stable rules and rules for the road in cryptocurrency, said Nelson, suggesting that Harris administration will still be interested in putting in place safeguards for an industry that has seen a number of sizable collapses in recent years. Now, it would be important to see some kind of regulation and clarity. So we'll be looking for that to happen. But we've got a nod. This is not anything crazy. This is just a positive nod for cryptocurrency. Now, along with that, this is something that came up. And by the way, before I move on, let me point out another part of the grift. This is an article that came up just a little while ago. Harris Aide hints at crypto support as Trump takes a 7-point lead in polls. Okay. Trump takes a 7-point lead in polls. Here's the thing. That's not true. That was not true at all. And this is why, by the way, if you are a Trump supporter and you believe that Donald Trump is the best person for crypto, I would encourage you to make sure that you and everybody that can possibly vote are voting for Donald Trump, because here's what's happening right now. There is a thought bubble in Twitter and X and stuff like that, where people seem to be pretending that Donald Trump is in landslide. Okay. And you guys might not want to hear this, by the way. You might want to close your ears and be like, mugga, 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 and click your heels, whatever the fuck you need to do to make yourself feel good. But everybody who's thinking, Polymarket, by the way, is the name of the place that's doing it. And matter of fact, let me show you what Polymarket says. And I'm not even making this shit up. Like, Polymarket is, this is wild, okay? Polymarket now says Trump's lead in the odds just hit 7%, okay? Fair enough. To me, that sounds really good. That sounds like, okay, finally there's some clarity. The shine of the new candidate has kind of worn off. That shine is gone, okay? This right here, this was Wall Street Bets. Kamala Harris now leads Trump with 10% on Polymarkets. Okay, this was a few days ago, right? Now, here we are a couple days later. Now there's a swing all the way back up. It's a 9-point swing, in some instances, 10-point swing over just 4 or 5 days towards Polymarket. Now, the question then becomes, well, what is Polymarket, right? If you go and you start to look, if you break down Polymarket, which I did, Polymarket is a right-wing outlet, which is doing no service by coming up with these totals here, telling you that Donald Trump has got it in the bag. Don't listen to Polymarket, okay? Vote. You have to vote. This is very simple. You have to vote. You can't take stuff like this because this stuff is dishonest. When it says swing, by the way, Polymarket, how do they do that? People betting. People betting is how they do it. So, and bettors, half the bettors will have to lose. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you cannot sit on the sidelines and say, hey, Donald Trump's got 53% to Kamala Harris 46%. He's going to win. I don't have to do anything. You have to vote for it to matter. Okay. And the reason for that is if you go to a real site that's not a grift, like 538.com, what is it saying about what it looks like right now? Kamala Harris is up big fucking time. Okay. In the real world, Kamala Harris is leading, okay? You have to vote. If you want Donald Trump and crypto, by the way, I'm not tipping my hat and saying that I'm voting. I'll show you in just a minute. But do not listen to these grifter website. Do not listen to these grifters. You have to go out and vote. And if it's saying good things about Donald Trump, that should reinforce your vote. And you should make sure that you do vote. You have to, okay? Now, if you have a problem with when you look at something like Project 538 or something like that that says that Harris is in the lead, and you're like, no, because on Twitter, I see all this stuff about Donald Trump. Nobody gives a shit about that. Basically, Truth Social is a crater right now because all of the Trump supporters, and there are a large amount of Trump supporters. I'm not saying that there's not, by the way. There are a large amount of Trump supporters. So the question will be, in I'll put it this way. In 2016, they had the election wrong. Okay. They had the election wrong because it is closely divided. In 2016, they got it wrong. So what happened? All of the people who do these advanced metrics, all the people who do these pollings, all of the people that do all this stuff upgraded and updated their software so that they didn't get it wrong again. Did they get it wrong in 2018? Nope. Did they get it wrong in 2020? Nope. Did they get it wrong in 2022? Yeah. You know what? In fact, they said that this red wave that you're looking at was not going to happen. And guess what? It didn't happen. They got it right, but they didn't get it right to the extent that it actually happened. Okay. There was this big red wave coming, didn't happen. Now, and then the other thing is, do they have it right now? Well, this is a large gap right now. There's a 3.5% gap in voting. And that includes, by the way, right-wing sites that are real, legitimate right-wing sites, not the grifters like Polymarket, but places like Rasmussen, stuff like that. Like with all of those totaled and tallied, Kamala Harris is in the lead. So make sure that you vote. And by the way, if you're a Kamala Harris supporter, I don't give a shit either. Vote for her. I really don't care. I'm voting for Donald Trump. All right. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump because it's best for crypto, in my opinion. Now, at this point, I will tell you this. I don't care which one becomes president. It doesn't really matter to me because I'm not into all your, Jesus doesn't like doesn't like abortion. I'm not into all of that kind of stuff. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is cryptocurrency, and that we still have three branches of government that are still working to look out for us in one context or another. And I think that that will save most of the democracy. So if you get a liberal out here who says something about, if you get Donald Trump, it's going to be fascism. No, it's not. Or if you have a MAGA guy saying, it's going to be social communalism or whatever dumb shit you say. No, it isn't. If you look at Kamala Harris talking about price controls and you say, oh my God, that's the slippery slope to socialism. It's actually kind of true. I mean, it's not untrue. But if that mattered, didn't Donald Trump just take credit for capping insulin at $35 as Martin Shkreli went to prison and all of that kind of stuff? So did Trump put price controls in on stuff as well? So when we're looking at it, remember, stop getting grifted. There is still, we're going to be safe no matter who the president is. If this happens, if Donald Trump becomes the president, I do think that the cap on Bitcoin becomes considerably higher than what it would be under Kamala Harris. Now, the reason that I'm not concerned, by the way, is number one, I'm not stupid. I don't fall for dumb shit, right? There's a ding dong out here named Crypto Rover, and look, I don't like him, but every once in a while I get him in my feed because at 2 a.m. he'll be like, Bitcoin is heading to 70,000, and then an hour later Bitcoin dumps, and he'll be like, I told you it was getting ready to dump. Do you know what I'm saying? He's a liar in every possible way, and he does it every day, constantly. Now, here's the thing. He said crypto is doomed if Kamala Harris wins. You have to vote for Donald Trump. None of that's true. None of that's true. And by the way, if you like Donald Trump, that's fine. Again, you got my vote. But you're not going to get my acquiescence because I'm not going to be objective about it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter who it is, because guess what? There was a bull run under Barack Obama. There was a second bull run under Barack Obama. There was a bull run under Donald Trump. There was a bull run under Joe Biden. There was a bull run under whoever the next president is. That's how it works. There's going to be a bull run. We're going to get that next move. It doesn't matter. However, I do think that we're looking at more like, if Donald Trump is the guy, let's just say this. If Donald Trump is the guy, he's going to throw money. You know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, he's just going to throw money. So we're looking at $200,000 Bitcoin, most probably. If Kamala Harris is the person, somewhere in that neighborhood of 150. So we'll make that one blue. We'll make that one red. So I think there's going to be a big gap. There would be a big gap if you chose Kamala Harris over Donald Trump. But make no mistake, all of this shit's still going to happen. It's just how much of it, how much of a frenzy will that be? That's going to be the question. So the next question on this is, well, what about Gary Gensler for Treasury Secretary? Oh, and by the way, before we go on, we still can't go on because there's one more piece to this equation. Let's pull this up. Here's a survey of all the Bitcoin holders. Now, you would think, because you keep listening to the grifters that are grifting you all over X, and you keep saying to yourself, oh yeah, that's obviously libertarian. That is not true at all. This is Bitcoin ownership by political orientation. And I'm going to get this real close so that you can see this. This was done in July. Okay. More very liberal people are holding Bitcoin, 21.9% to very conservative at 17.6%. Then you have the liberals and the conservatives. That's kind of dead even. I want to say a few more conservatives overall in that. Then you have somewhat liberal, more holding Bitcoin, and then somewhat conservative, and then you have neutral 14.3%. Okay, so this is not a wild swing. Liberals like Bitcoin. So if Kamala Harris becomes pro Bitcoin, this is a problem. This is a problem. So don't kid yourself and stop falling for stupid stuff on X. Make sure you vote. Make sure you do whatever you got to do. Here's the moral foundation. Here's the moral foundation profile, which, guys, go to the blockbeats.info if you want to look this up and check it out. And there's a whole bunch of there's a whole bunch of people here and a whole bunch of different stuff that you can go to and check out to see what people are thinking about Bitcoin and who they're probably voting for. So you need to vote if you want Donald Trump, because I'm telling you right now, you're being lied to. You're being deceived by a lot of people that you trust on Twitter to say, oh, he's winning. No, he's not. He's not winning. Not at this point. It's going to be on you to make sure that you vote. Next up, Gary Gensler for Treasury Secretary. Now, do we want Gary Gensler to be Treasury Secretary? I don't give a shit. Doesn't matter to me whether he's Treasury Secretary or not. I don't care. Now, I don't like Gary Gensler. I don't respect Gary Gensler because he is really kind of the anti-crypto guy. Despite that he was a crypto guy until he took the job. And then something dramatically changed. Now, the question would be, what was it that changed? It is my opinion that what changed is really nothing fundamentally. What happened was he's out to try to protect people. He likes cryptocurrency. He is actually a pro-Bitcoin, pro-cryptocurrency guy. But the job of the Security and Exchange Commission is to interpret laws and enforce those laws. And that means that Gary Gensler has decided that the gambling aspect that we all know and love, the buy the shit coin and hold it to the top or hold it to the bottom, whatever it is that you do, we think that's okay. He thinks that's a grift. Okay. He thinks that you're being stolen from, that it's an unsafe environment, that there has to be regulatory power, because look at the collapse of FTX. This is what happens when you don't have proper regulatory environments, right? Because when somebody like Gary Gensler is sucking up to Sam Bankman-Fried and his parents, then Sam Bankman-Fried collapses FTX with some wild shit that's going on. CZ Binance, who's been grifting people all that time, goes to prison for it. And by the way, we can still like a CZ Binance, but he's still a criminal. He still did all the shit that they accused him of, right? But he was doing it for the betterment of crypto. So we have to understand that he did do it, but number two, he was doing it because he was trying to help us. And that means that Gary Gensler has to go after these people, right? Whether you like it or not, those are the laws. He has to enforce the laws. So if he goes to the Treasury Secretary, I don't really give a shit. Doesn't matter to me. What I would like is a better interpretation of the laws, and I would like Congress to make better laws. So basically, Gary Gensler will do whatever he's told. I think he's a compliant good boy, and I think that he listens a lot to Elizabeth Warren and people like that. I do think that, but why do I not care about this Treasury Secretary thing? By the way, let's get into why. First of all, here is where it happened. A publication called The Washington Reporter released a bombshell story saying that Kamala Harris was likely to nominate Gary Gensler as Treasury Secretary if elected. Kamala Harris is not an idiot. Kamala Harris can read a room. Kamala Harris knows that Gary Gensler is toxic. Okay, so now this is where it gets interesting. Based on unnamed sources, the confidently ran, while publicly Security Exchange Commissioner Gary Gensler hasn't expressed desire to leave his current roles, multiple senior Senate staffers are telling the Washington Reporter that if Kamala Harris wins in November, she plans to nominate Gensler as her Treasury Secretary. Now, that sounds like, really interesting, right? Well, it turns out, let's go back and let's look. Conservative operatives have poured $1 million into new Capitol Hill news outlet. Now, why would conservative operatives be putting money into a specific place? Why wouldn't you put it into Fox News? Oh yeah, you can't, because that would be kind of inappropriate. So let's figure out what's going on. So the goal of this is to establish outlets covering Capitol Hill, including Punchbowl and Politico, with perspectives and insights catered specifically to conservatives. Okay. Now, the new outlet is called the Washington Reporter. It's being launched by Republican political consultants and former Hill staffers Garrett Ventry and Brian Collas, four sources familiar with the effort told Axios. Ventry, a former chief of staff for Rep. Ken Buck, currently manages his own consultancy and retains congressional Republicans as clients. So, including Elise Stefanik, whatever, and then Tom Cotton. So these guys are the rightest of the right-wing guys. This site is the rightest of the right-wing site. And what's happening is they're using manipulation tactics to try to make it sound, because they know that you in cryptocurrency, you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention, right? You just read it and you're like, oh yeah, it makes sense. It's because it's what Donald Trump tells me I should think. So that's what I think. And it's pretty simple. So follow the money right here. And Axios took the time to follow the money. Ventry and Collas are joined by several Republican heavyweights in funding the new site, including Omid Malik, the financier who backed Tucker Carlson's media venture. And by the way, I don't have a problem with Tucker Carlson. So, I actually like that guy. I don't like some of the stuff he says, but I understand that what he's doing is he's grifting you. And I understand that he's doing it, but at least he's open about it. He calls Trump openly a piece of shit, but he still grifts you because he knows that not you're too smart for it, but he knows that other people will fall for it. But Michael Goldfarb, founder of the conservative investigation outlet, the Washington Free Beacon. Why do you need another one if you got the Washington Free Beacon? Oh, yeah, because we know the Washington Free Beacon is not honest with us either. Republican strategist Jonathan Heiler, Kyle Plotkin, and former chief of staff to Josh Hawley, fight people. Oh yeah, by the way, let me run and hide when they actually come into the Capitol. Don't forget. An on-message public strategy partner. So all of these people are in on it. So what are they doing? They're putting out little cutesy news articles. And who's the leaker? Well, it has to be Republicans. Democrats don't talk to this place. They already know it's bullshit, right? So who's leaking that Gary Gensler is going to be the Treasury Secretary? Some Republicans. So don't believe that. Now, all of that said, here is what is important. Trump is still your candidate of choice. You have got to vote for Donald Trump if you are pro-crypto at this point. And look, again, I don't care about the rest of it. It doesn't matter to me. What is cryptocurrency? If cryptocurrency matters to you, Donald Trump is still your choice. In the event that Donald Trump is not elected, and in the event that what we do is not enough, if that is the case, then we will still be fine. We will still have a bull run. I think the bull run's more if it's Donald Trump. But if it's Kamala Harris, there'll still be a bull run. It just won't be, I just don't think it will be as good. And of course, there's no way we'll ever know, but that's just my opinion. But at least I'm telling you it's my opinion, and I'm not pretending to be a Republican senator telling you secret information. Do you know what I mean? I'm giving you an opinion, and I'm being honest about it. So let's move on and let's get into something here. Gary Gensler for president. All right, key SHIB metric frozen for the past few days. What is going on with Shiba Inu? This is very important right now. So Etherscan shows that the most recent SHIB burn transaction was performed 5 days ago, when a total of 1.7 million SHIB were burned. Another popular source of SHIB burn data, the SHIB burn platform, shows that the last burn transfer was made 2 days ago, and it constituted less than 100,000 SHIB. SHIB burn currently shows a frozen rise on the SHIB burn rate from 2 days ago, while the list of transactions has remained empty in the last 2 days. Data from a recent tweet published by SHIB burn, though, says that the SHIB daily burn rate equals 0 at the moment, even though they reported it was up 1,000%. Because apparently when it's 0, it messes up their algorithm in some way. So data from the recent tweet shows that right now the burn rate is down 85% for the week tweets that have shown a SHIB daily burn rate since August 20th. The official SHIB source has not yet commented on the freeze in SHIB burns. So we have no idea exactly what is going on. In the meantime, we did celebrate the 1-year anniversary of Shibarium. So it is possible that it has something to do with Shibarium, but I can't confirm that. And I can't, I don't understand what the tracking mechanism is. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out with SHIB. So if you are a SHIB holder and you are concerned about SHIB, you are not alone at this point, because the burn rate on SHIB is not looking great. Now, while we're talking about that, what we should do is take a moment to look at the chart. And I'm going to say, guys, I haven't changed anything about this. We're going to do, you know what it is? We're going to do an I told you so. Okay. So here's what the chart looks like. Guys, I wanted to tell you that, the possibility, I told you 2 possibilities. First of all, that we could retrace back down here, but that we were headed up to test this range, right? Well, let me remove this and you can see now, guess what? We're heading up to test that range. The next piece of it is if we have a breakout, it's probably going to be no more than that right there. So what I would look for is a continued move. If we have positive momentum in the market, a continued move up here into 16.9, and then a dump back down into this range at 14. And then if it has it in it for a breakout, then we'll get a breakout up into this higher range. That is what it's looking like right now. And, you never really know what's going to happen. But that's kind of what it looks like. Okay. And it is playing out exactly the way that we said it was going to break out. So let's leave that on there and let's wait and see how this works. And by the way, if I left that right there and then I just changed this right here and said, you know what, let's just expand this a little bit, then you can see right here, like that is still the range right there. So yeah, I know I don't understand what's going on with the mic. I'm trying to work through this stuff, but this computer, I think that I'm gonna have to start taking up donations or something like that. Let me try this. Is this better? Did we get something a little bit better in that right now? Hopefully you can hear me just a bit better. It looks like the mic power just went up quite a bit. What I'd done is I turned it down for background noise. So I was hoping that that was going to work. So let me know if the sound is better now. But anyway, so I think that the next big impulse move is up into this range with SHIB, and then we have a breakout. Like I think we're getting close to a breakout, and I'm going to tell you why in just a moment. By the way, so I think we should at least consider that. This is where it settles on the daily, and if we take those wicks out and we talk about where it actually settled, by the way, this thing gets a little more interesting because look at this. You move this in, you tighten up this channel just a little bit, and you can see that we're getting close to a breakout point. Move up in here again, maybe a dump back down here one more time, and then we're getting towards the end of this this wedge pattern, and that usually indicates the need for a breakout. So we really look like we're about to break out. This is not the only project that looks like it's about to have a breakout, not just SHIB. By the way, just because I'm telling you that it's due for a breakout doesn't mean that it's not going to go down one more time. Doesn't mean that we're not going to hit a little bit further to the bottom. Doesn't mean that we don't have a correction to that downside that could still happen. It just means that in the long term, we're getting at the end of the consolidation, if you will, and we're getting close to a breakout. So if you don't have any right now, this would be a decent time to grab yourself some SHIB. This is not optimal, by the way. You know what? It could be. I've been on the phone with Xfinity all morning long trying to get my internet fixed. Let me show you one more piece here to the SHIB chart, and then we'll move on. First of all, we need another trend line here. This trend line down the middle right here seems to be how this is playing out. Now, that is the heart line. That is the heart line of all this. And it's not even a mobile signal. Like I'm not even using, like I was thinking about using Stargate. I was thinking about using Starlink pretty soon and just giving up on Xfinity because I'm getting real tired of them, but I just haven't yet. So anyway, this heart line right here is where we've rejected so many different times. And if you come back down here, right here, there's a confluence right there. There's another one right there. There's another one right there. There's another one right here. Another one right here. Like we're deep into this little heart line. So it is possible that we get a tiny rejection here and a tiny test down here at around 12, and then a big break out into the next 14 to 17 range, which would mean that I think that would end up being a bigger breakout. That is possibility as well. But the market, I don't know how the US market is going to react today. The market was up about $7 billion overnight, but it dumped about 20 billion when the Asian markets woke up. The European markets kind of got positive. The US market came back in. US market kind of pushing things down a little bit right now. But again, I always tell you guys, in about 2 hours from now, we'll know what this is going to look like. You know what I mean? Like watching a dub. Nice. And by the way, I don't know what that is because I think it's got to be StreamYard. So just bear with it. I apologize about it today because my signal strength, according to all my metrics here, is fine. So it might be StreamYard is a little bit out of sync. So, and normally, even when I have bad issues, it doesn't get too bad, I don't think. So, you know, we'll see. Let me move along here and I'll wrap this shit up as quickly as possible. So, if you haven't already, you need to get yourself a bag of SHIB. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Next up, there is a red flag that's showing up on Bitcoin. The longest Bitcoin all-time high wait post-halving is the question here. According to veteran trader Peter Brandt, this cycle may soon mark the longest stretch of Bitcoin history without hitting a new all-time high following a halving. While Bitcoin remains locked in a sideways trend, the market is left to wonder, will it soar to new heights or a new all-time high slipping further out of reach? Per Brandt's assessment in the 2011-2013 cycle, and you're going to be familiar with some of these numbers, by the way, Bitcoin barely stumbled after its first halving, quickly surging past the $15 hurdle in 8 weeks. The cycle was defined by rapid recovery and explosive growth. 2015 to 2017, it took a steep 27% plunge before falling to 474 and then regaining 790 and charted a new course to higher peaks. In the 2018-2021 cycle, the 10% decline post-halving seemed mild. Bitcoin still took 25 weeks to reach a new high of 13,859. And that's before breaking out. Now, fast forward to 2022, 2025. The trajectory is even more uncertain. A 26% drop after the halving mirrors the 2015-2017 cycle, yet the market has stalled 23 weeks in with no new all-time high in sight. The 73,804 was actually right before the halving. So this is a different sort of dynamic, right? So now, this is what Peter Brandt is looking for, and it's called exponential decay. As traders watch Bitcoin's current cycle unfold, Peter Brandt introduces a more unsettling concept: exponential decay. Citing his April 26 blog, according to Brandt, each cycle since 2011 has lost roughly 80% of the force of the previous one. The 3.191x advance of the 2009 cycle shrank dramatically. The advance from 2018-2021 was 22%, and now he projects the current cycle could rise by just 4.5x. With Bitcoin high already touching 73,000, he suggests there's a 25% chance that the cycle has peaked. If that's the case, the market could slide back into the $30,000 range. A sobering possibility for those who have been holding out for a repeat of the explosive gains of the earlier cycle. Despite these concerns, the future remained unclear. So basically, Peter Brandt is saying, like, this could be it. Like, we might have reached a top already, and there is a 75% chance that we didn't, but there is a 25% chance that we've already reached the top and that we just got it early because of the Bitcoin ETFs. Now, here's the thing. Even if you look at the previous time, that makes no sense for the amount of capital projected to enter the market, for the amount of capital projected to enter just the ETFs based on trends, based on longstanding methodology, by investors and investment gurus. It doesn't make any sense, but Peter Brandt is out here saying that this is a possibility. Now, does he think that that's going to happen? No. The answer to that is still no. However, it is important that everybody realize that there are some red flags on Bitcoin right now that we are not we're not seeing the breakout that I think a lot of us kind of expected and were looking for. Now, remember, it was 149 days before the breakout in 2017, and in 2021, it was something like 89 days. Now, if we come over to the chart and we say, well, how many days is it from here to right now? We're at 125 days. So we have come a long way. Within 20 or so days, taking us to mid-September. Mid-September looks to be the time where it would have been like 147, 150 days. So we seem to be in the spot where a breakout could happen at any time. And if it doesn't happen, then you will see that atrophy, and we will probably start breaking down to new lows that we haven't seen in since the beginning of 2024. I would think it would, and this is my estimation and guess, but I would say that there's pretty strong support sitting around right here. That 44,000 line to gain right there, I think is going to be a strong level of resistance. So I think we'll be fine. And I think that there's going to be a gigantic bounce if that happens. But we should at least recognize that if we don't keep positive inflows and we don't keep if we don't keep things positive in this market and it starts to get stale for much longer, we could be looking at downward momentum. Now, that's just a guess. That's not me saying that it will or will not happen, but it's out there. So let's at least wonder. Market, by the way, now down $13 billion on the day. Let me show you what it looks like when the U.S. market wakes up and comes online. Looks like this raggedy shit right here. You just see a bunch of red candles appearing. That's the U.S. market for you, by the way. So be aware that there are some red flags, that there are some concerns, but I don't think that they're very big. Now, let me show you what is also a big concern. And you might not like this one. Again, spoiler alert, because sometimes the truth hurts. And that is, Elon put this out. He put out a picture of himself for the Department of Government Efficiency. Now, if you guys are not familiar, it is considered that Elon Musk, or Trump is considering offering Elon Musk either a consultant role or a role in his administration. And he thought that it was funny, the Department of Government Efficiency for Dogecoin. Now, what does that mean to Dogecoin? Well, let's go over and let's look at Dogecoin. Nothing. Look at this. This is Dogecoin. Barely broke 10 cents for a few minutes 2 days ago. And when Elon did that, it went from 10 cents to 10 cents. So there's no movement. There's no movement here on Dogecoin right now. So why is that? And that is a question. And by the way, I don't have the answer to that. Normally, when Elon starts talking about something that moves the market, Elon did not move the market. So that is gonna be a telling sign that there is a struggle and a problem right now with retail. This is just my opinion, but that to me means that we've got a problem because, look, Dogecoin, SHIB, they're the retail darlings. And if we're not seeing an explosive move from Doge with Elon talking about it, then there's something going on. Now, we come back here. This is where Elon talked about it in July, or going back a few months. Let me go back to the day. There was a time not that long ago when Elon started talking about it, and it was, there we go, February. That's where we started seeing all of the big moves on Doge, and then this was a spike when Elon talked about it. So we saw what kind of growth here? 170% spike in the price when we were talking about adding it in as payment for Twitter, and this was going back to a long time. I mean, he's been the owner for almost 2 years now. That goes back to November of 2022, where he started talking about that, and that caused that significant sort of spike. Right, came almost all the way back down into the range, and then broke out again with the anticipation that that might happen, and then we got like a mini altcoin season, if you will, or a meme coin season, if nothing else. And we got up to 22 cents, and then it broke down and broke down and continued to break down. And look, I told you guys this would happen, and guess what happened? It did. Then I told you that this would happen, and guess what? It absolutely did. Didn't go back to the top of the range though, which means that we're now in a declining trend. So, you're gonna have to break out above this for it to matter any. But the Dogecoin now struggling to keep up and not getting pumped when Elon makes posts, and that should be alarming if you're holding Doge. A couple days ago, Raul Paul said, "Get out of XRP, get out of Cardano," because he doesn't think that they're going to pump, that he thinks that they're old technology and that new stuff is going to take over. And look, I'm not saying that that's not true. I don't think it's true. And by the way, I'm not saying that even XRP is going to go to a new high. I think that it is. I don't have any opinion on Cardano. I don't see that one happening, because I don't see there's any impetus or anything for that. However, I do think differently about XRP. But you know what? You never know what's going to happen. But if that is the case, you should probably get out of Dogecoin too, because Dogecoin could be cooked, and we just don't know it yet. So manage your investment accordingly. Also, Binance is spending more than Ripple versus the SEC on compliance. Binance's spending now is over $200 million amid new hiring plans and new costs in order to be in complete regulatory compliance. And by the way, what that does mean is that Binance.us and things like that are still going to be big players in the United States, and that they are trying to make sure that they are compliant with all the laws and regulations around the world. Richard Tang, the new CEO who replaced CZ Binance, says this: "I've been a regulator all my life. Government agencies are important." So spending on compliance surpassed 200 million, up from 158 2 years ago. He says the cost set to increase further as monitors appointed by the U.S. agencies, the FRA, Forensic Risk and Alliance, and Sullivan and Cromwell have already started work. Binance's compliance spending is going to it's going to be even higher than what Ripple Labs ended up paying the SEC. The court has ordered the company to pay 125 million in penalties, and this is going to be more. After CZ stepped down from the CEO position at Binance, Richard Tang has worked with prime brokers, tightened requirements for new crypto listings, and spun off its venture arm, Binance Labs. The company plans to have 700 employees in compliance roles by 2024. And in addition, Tang said he will continue to fight against allegations in the SEC lawsuit. A judge recently ordered that most arguments against Binance and its co-founder CZ will proceed. So, will all the old projects like Volt, WAGMI, Optimus, Ben, Pepe, Bob shoot up during this bull run? Of course they will. Of course they will. I think that, look, I think Volt just didn't get discovered. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't get discovered when it needed to. Also, by the way, we should point out, Volt had a $250 million market cap at one point. So, I don't think that it's been discovered and true value has been obtained for Volt. I don't think that, but I think that Volt will have a nice little run. WAGMI, yes. WAGMI still hasn't released their game. You know what I mean? Like, that's the part. If anything annoys me about WAGMI at this point, it's that we are now 2 years away from the launch of the game, and we still haven't launched the game. You're still in like beta testing and shit like that. And by the way, I that's no disrespect, or it's not intended to be disrespectful to the team at WAGMI. What they've decided is their game wasn't good enough. The way it was, it wasn't good enough to pass their sniff test, if you will. So they just delayed it and continued to delay and continue. They're getting it right, and I think that matters. I think that that's not good for us as degen investors who just want to throw some money at something, get a nice little 2 or 3x, and then boom, explodes or takes off and does another 20 or 100. It's not doing that gigantic stuff that we wanted it to do. But also, they're building for the long haul. They're creating a universe, if you will, and GameFi has not exploded yet. We haven't seen Axie Infinity start to run super hard again. We haven't seen Sandbox do very much in a long time. GameFi is effectively been dead for a while. So I just don't have a, I think WAGMI will be fine. They're just, I think that what they're doing is pretty smart. As far as Optimus, yes. So Optimus to me, in my opinion, is dependent on Elon Musk and the Optimus robot. When the Optimus robot rolls out and we actually see them being available for sale to people, then Optimus AI is going to absolutely explode. I don't even know what Optimus is. I don't even know what the let's see. Optimus is currently at a $6 million market cap for Optimus. Not a lot of trade volume, not a lot of anything going on with it. But when it happens, it'll be explosive because it'll be tied to Elon. And I think that's, again, even though I just told you he didn't move the Doge market, it's possible that Doge is just cooked. Optimus, it won't take anything. $5 million thrown into Optimus will put you at 50x. You know what I mean? Like it'll just explode in price at some point because people find it and they'll, get confused about, what happens with meme coins. So it'll have a nice big run. Same thing, Pepe 2. I don't know about Pepe 2. I think Pepe, like I wouldn't be going with additional ones. You know what I mean? Like I have no Ben. I mean, and really Ben at this point depends on whether Ben Armstrong is going to put in the work or whether he's just going to, let it ride. Now he says he's working and he's taking care of it, that it's going to take a while because there's a lot of obstacles to be overcome. They're going to have to do something radically different, a new blockchain. They're going to get off of Ethereum. Like he's got a plan and it's a longer term plan. So I think the answer is yes, but I can't say for sure. And as far as Bob goes, I think Bob is cooked. I think that Turbo breaking out from that batch that Pepe broke out, that Turbo broke out, and I think that's it. I think maybe Bob will get another secondary pump when the meme coin market is right. If you buy the bottoms, and by the way, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, I mean, Jesus Christ, you really just have to look at a few charts to get an idea. And I'm gonna use Saitama. Look at what Saitama did. I'm gonna change it to a 1 hour, or a 1 day, and look at this. It looks, dude, it's like a flat line, right? It's just gonna be like a flat line. Okay, this right here tells me that this thing is going to take. By the way, they're moving to a V2, so when I tell you it's not going to be on this one, but this is the kind of thing that's what you're looking for. These are the things, like when you see Bob was down here like this, and you see all these other coins that were down here like this, then they had these explosive recoveries and shit like that. Same thing with Saitama, right? That this is where you buy if you didn't get in here and it didn't do that and go crazy, right? Like that's where you get back in. So you'll see people start to re-enter. And by the way, when I say that, I don't want it to seem like I'm losing my mind here. Let's zoom out. This is Pepe, okay? Pepe did the same thing. Like I'm going to take out what happened recently from the equation. This is through March 2024. Let's go look at what happened over here, right? You see what happened over here? What I'm showing you right now, this right here looks exactly like what we saw on Saitama just a few minutes ago. You had the enormous spike, then you down. And by the way, the dollar amounts are completely different. I'm not saying they're comparable projects. Then you had a secondary spike when the L Bank listing happened for Saitama, and then it broke all the way down. It came back down here. People got into despair over it, thinking Pepe was dead. And this is when Fatty McMudstuffin, whatever this fucking pork chop name, the ox, the guy who's an ox, Babe, I want to say his name is Paul the ox. This is where he got everybody out and said, "Oh, we're going to pork and we're going to do a fork of Pepe," right? And called it pork, and it didn't do shit. And then Pepe exploded, and everybody who took their money out of Pepe to put it in pork got screwed over by Pauly one more time. So But this is what happened, and that's what's going to happen to all these other projects too. It doesn't matter which project it is, there will be those kind of moves. So just know that you're going to get an opportunity for a move. I think it's maybe same thing about Clear Cryptos. I don't know. Like I'm Clear Cryptos is one of those companies that, at one point they had all these different people as part of their team, shit like that. But they had some shady, people that were, part of their whatever. But I mean, look at the volume here. I mean, it's dead. It's a dead project with a lot of liquidity in it right now. I don't even know what's going on with it. Look at this. There's absolutely nothing happening right here. And at best, somebody put $1 in on July 25th just to probably see how it would affect the chart to see what was going on with it. I don't know what they're doing, if anything. And by the way, this does not mean that maybe they're not building in the background or something might be happening. And it doesn't mean that there might not be some kind of pump when there's actually a frenzied bull market or something like that. Doesn't mean there isn't. It just means that, right, I don't see it, and I don't think that it's going to happen. And I mean, but here's the thing. Zoom out. It looks exactly like the rest of them. Let me show you right here. It looks exactly like the rest of them. Secondary pump, again, like for Saitama, that was at L Bank, and then that dead kind of line right there. So it is possible that there's an explosive move off of this, but I mean, with $200 in volume, it looks more dead to me. You know what else looks dead, by the way? And guys, I did a promo for this one, which annoys the shit out of me at this point. Where's this fucking thing? This Money Man token. Jesus Christ, I don't even know where it is. Wherever it is, stay away from it. Here we go. Man, 51,000 market cap, 2,000 in liquidity. They screwed up the launch. They fucked everything up from the beginning. Then I don't know what was going on over there. We're not going to do this until everybody gets their, fuck you. Like this was just a disaster from square one. So if you got into that one, I lost money on it, by the way. I put in a total of $800 and I got 650 out. So, I lost like 150 bucks off of it. But let's move on real quick here. I want to get the last pieces in. Monkey Shit Inu doesn't have really anything going on for today other than your normal, make some memes and stuff like that. So building in the background. This is the first time, by the way, that a day has gone by where I didn't really have a tremendous update on MSI. So just know that I'm looking for it every day and trying to get it. Now, on to DevvE. If you look at DevvE over here, that $500 giveaway is still up for grabs. So make sure that you're participating and become a part of that because that could be a good one. And also Ormulus. This is a new one. I did a video on it yesterday. Go check it out. It's a new layer 2 ZK rollup blockchain. Ormulus, ORMOLUS. And when you see the people, eventually you're going to find, it's not my job to give you those people yet. But when you see the people who are behind it, you're going to know that it's going to at least get a nice big pump when it launches. Hasn't launched yet. We don't have any information about the date or any of that yet. So, but it's just kind of flying under the radar. They're just out here doing a little bit of trying to get everything together. They have an updated roadmap that just came out after I did the video, by the way. So check it out. Decide for yourself whether it's the risk-based investment that is right for you, and let me know. So as far as the market goes, market looking kind of, I mean, like MSI is up 15% on the day, but let's face it, it's going to have it's got to break out of its little trend line here. I'm showing you right here. It's kind of dumped on. It's going to have to get up here into the 2,000 up above this range in order to break out and start to mint a new high. Doesn't have a huge market cap. It's still MSI. Where is it at? Up 3% on the day. Still has a $4 million market cap and $491,000 in liquidity. So if it found its bottom, there's another one, by the way, that could have that big breakout. It's moving pretty quickly. it's kind of moving pretty quickly through its protocols, if you will. They're putting a lot of money into it to try to make it, continue to keep going. So you might see something like that. Might be pretty big. Fias a few minutes ago was up about 50-60%. You saw that enormous spike in price that came. But that enormous spike in price came from MEXC trading. Sometimes you have somebody who just buys a whole bunch over there. So not a big breakout, but it was something. We're down to 4. So Bitcoin's at 60,786. Now, here's the problem with Bitcoin. It keeps breaking off of that center. If I zoom out, remember I just showed you a heart line on these descending channels. This is an expanding channel, which probably not as good a sign. If it doesn't break out above this right here and start to get into the 64, 65 range, then it is coming down. We are, we'll be cooked. Neutral, we're right in 50 for the fear and greed index, which means that 20 or 30 more points, it's going to be sell time. You know what I mean? So fear and greed index is at 50. Now I have two, by the way, I had an app here for the fear and greed index. If you can see that, it says 39 right now. So I'm not sure why the indexes are differing all of a sudden. So I don't know what that means, but I'm seeing it, so I'm sharing it. Anyway, so if Bitcoin does not break out above where it is right now, that is to say, if we don't get some confirmation and then a solid back test from where we are right now, then we are cooked. Now, we zoom in on the hourly. This is the hourly chart, and you can see that we had a test over here, and then we had another test right here, another one here, another one here, and it keeps rejecting off of it. Now, it's coming upwards, so it could be in breakout phase, but we've got to have a test above here, a break back down for a retest, and then a continuation. If we don't get that, then Bitcoin's coming down. Investors will atrophy, for lack of a better description, and that will happen. So if Bitcoin does not have a better move than what we're seeing right now, then we're going to have a problem in this market. Now, in closing this out, the Bitcoin flows yesterday still positive. Probably a negative day coming, but 39 million in inflows. ETF on Ethereum, not as good yesterday. Out 18 million, still low, still not the big outflows from the original. So it's just a matter of time, I think, before everything starts to flip positive for Ethereum, because we had some nice inflows for a couple days, but again, those outflows, they're just trickles, but they're still outflows and not inflows. So as far as the liquidity heat map, let me refresh this real quick before we do that to tell you where I think we're going. Remember, we're at the bottom. We swept the liquidity down here. So the next move, the next impulse move, 62,000. After 62,000, then I would suspect that we're going to see something a little bit more to that downside. So, but 62,000 right now, that is the range right in there. And there is a pool that's appearing right now at around 58,500. So you can expect that 58,500 is in our future, no matter what. And it could be in the next couple hours. Like we could come all the way back down from where we are right now and rip through that. And by the way, we can go further because there's more money sitting down right. It's still 58.5, but then after that, 57. There's still money down there. So the big money, however, above 70,000. That's where the billions and billions of Rocks fans are. So, there it is right there. You've got $20 billion sitting ready to be liquidated in some of these ranges. 21 billion at 70,500. There are billions upon billions upon billions in like this. The move when we get to this all-time high again is going to be explosive. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to go from 70,000 to 80 something thousand. And we're just going to be like, wow. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be another big move like we saw the last time on Bitcoin. So it's coming. And by the way, this is the move right here. If that happens and it comes over to, let's just say like right here, because we have one more breakdown and we take this into the end of the year, $90,000 Bitcoin, son of a bitch. Look at that. It's almost like I knew what I was talking about. Anyway, was not there yet. So we'll see whether it gets there or not. Anyway, time to pay the bills. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. And we'll talk to you again very, very soon. Cryptonomy is giving away from $100 to $10,000 to participate. All you have to do is follow the 3 Telegram groups, follow Cryptonomy on X, and make a fixed staking deposit of at least 6 months to join the launch pool by August 20. So if you're interested, make sure you sign up today. Also, I'm making another move here. You guys know I've been a fan of API 3. Well, the granddaddy of API 3 should be considered to be Link. So I brought in 582 Link. I'm going to stake that right now for 6 months at a 29.6% yield. That's going to give me a pretty good increase. So I'm confirming I got my Link right now. I'm going to get about a 30% off of that. And now the granddaddy of all, this is the launch pool. The launch pool is where it all happens. I'm going to use 0.4 Bitcoin in the bronze package. That's up to 5x